Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Motivational Mondays. I have the beautiful and very talented Terry at Evolving Always Productions here in the house tonight. We are going to have a wonderful discussion with her about her life and about entrepreneurship, how you keep up with everything, because this is Motivational Mondays, and I want everybody that is here to be motivated to achieve and do more and just get more out of life in general. So with that being said, I would like you to tell everybody a little bit about you, but I wanted to actually talk about the name first because whenever I say my affirmations in the morning, this is actually one of them, and I'll say, I am evolving always. And every time I do that, I think about you. So I know that's weird, kind of, but not in that kind of way. You know what I'm saying? But I think about it because it's your name, but it's a cool name. I really like your name. So let's talk about how you came up with it. And then you got it on, it seems like, all the platforms that you're on.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny that you said that because another friend of mine actually said the same thing. They said they were going somewhere and it says, yeah, I'm involving always Terrylyn. So I didn't expect that to happen from it, but I came up with the name because I do want to always improve, because I think that's very important, that we aren't stagnant. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
That we constantly are growing. And that was the type of person that I want to be, because I know that I've got still a lot to learn, even at my age. I still have a lot to learn. And so that's why I picked the name. I said, yeah, I'm going to be constantly evolving. I really like this. I said, and this is a name I can utilize for so many things that I'm trying to do because I know a lot of people, they just consider themselves resellers, but I don't. I never even used the terminology really until I started, I guess, being on Instagram more. And a lot of people are like, I'm a reseller, this, that, the other. And I said, I just always consider myself an entrepreneur because that's what you are. And I think some resellers don't even realize that. They just classify themselves as resellers. And then they say, yeah, I'm a reseller. And, I guess I'm going to become an entrepreneur. But I'm like, you're already an entrepreneur. I'm like,
Okay.
yeah, but that's just my thought process. And there was a lot of things that I wanted to do. So I didn't want a name that would just only work with certain things. Just like you
Right.
picked a great name, Brittany All Bossed Up. That works with so many different things now. So you can literally have so many different types of companies under that name. And that was really my mindset as well. Plus the obvious fact that we should always be trying to grow, evolve, always be learning. All of us should be doing that.
Absolutely. Well, I totally agree. That's why it's on there, because I think I did a post one time on Instagram about that, how you should always be thirsty to learn something new or something like that is what it said, because, we never fully evolve. We never do,
Right.
because nothing's more constant than change. And that's what's always happening. And so as everything changes, so do you, or, you have to update. It's just like being a doctor, getting into whatever profession you're in. Technology changes, it updates, and then you have to update along with it. I think that's how life is as well. I have some beautiful people in the chat that I wanted to mention and thank.
Oh, yeah.
Anubis Daniels is here. Hello, how are you? The
Yeah,
Flipping
definitely.
Girls, Michelle and Marina, is here.
Hey, Flipping Girls. Yeah, I love them. And I see my friend
Yeah.
Rhonda too. So see Michelle,
Okay.
Marina, and Rhonda. So this is definitely a great live for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yes. So welcome, Rhonda. I appreciate you joining as well. Oh, we have the lovely Deneen in the house. She just joined.
Oh,
Thank you so much for joining me.
another good friend.
Okay. Fantastic. She'll be on here in like a couple of weeks as well.
She is. She's phenomenal. I love her.
She's
Love
great.
her.
Indeed. So the next thing that I kind of wanted to touch on was, what I wanted to do before I touch on anything else is just to encourage everybody, because I had been struggling with this YouTube situation and the videos and stuff. So I just want to encourage everybody to go at your own pace, that whatever you're trying to work on, it's all going to come together in due time. You cannot, sometimes some processes you cannot rush. You have to just let it evolve as it comes about. You cannot just make it happen. It's just not, some things takes time to do, like these YouTube videos and the editing. That's really what I'm referencing, that I had to take my time getting to know the software, and I'm still getting to know the software and learning that whole process. And what was crazy was, it was like there was an elephant in the room as far as me getting the new video up. I had a video, the Jomar purse unboxing. I had that for 2 weeks. I had sent it off for editing to somebody, and unfortunately that didn't work out. She ended up not contacting me after I sent it to her. I checked on her and she said, yeah, I'm still working on it. And then she never sent it back. So, that was kind of frustrating, but I was like, okay, I guess it's on me from here. I mean, I could have tried somebody else, but I just said, why don't you just try to get this software and do what you got to do? Because I had an app called InShot, and it wasn't really doing what I needed it to do. So my point is, though, don't be scared to go ahead, and because like what was stopping me was the fact that I knew it was going to take me a couple of hours. I was like, it's going to take me 2 hours or more to get this done, and I don't want to stop what I'm doing to take 2 hours to go edit a 7-minute video. But sometimes that's just what it takes, and that's why I'm saying slow and steady wins the race. You know what I mean? So if it takes you a little bit longer, that's okay. Now on my next video, it'll be a lot faster now that I know the software. We got a few comments. I just wanted to say hi to whoever else has joined. Gray Beards Treasures. Thank you so much.
Nate. Yeah.
And I think we had Lisa, Jules had joined in. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Definitely appreciate that. So when we talk about, though, encouragement, when I tell you, when I see just your journey, that encourages me every day to do more. But with that being said, can you tell us a little bit about, like, in between because we know you're a wife, we know that, you have a child, and how do you balance all of that? In between everything that you're doing, what's your best tip for balancing it all? Like, how do you keep up with everything?
Well, to be honest with you, realistically speaking, I don't think none of us keep up with everything that well sometimes, unfortunately.
Okay. No,
even when I was in corporate America, definitely it was even more complicated to keep up with. And now that I'm an entrepreneur, I was like, well, I'll be more balanced, but being an entrepreneur, sometimes you're less balanced because you're doing things when you should be doing family time. So that's one of the things that I'm working on now, is trying not to do so much when I should be with my family. I am working on that because I realize that sometimes I'm like overlapping. There's times my husband just wants to hang with me and I'm on a live. I'm chatting with somebody. So I'm just working on that, trying to get that delicate balance in, because, the way we are in regards to being entrepreneurs now is people, have to be a part of your life. It's not like the old days where you're in the yellow pages and people contact you when they need you and your hours were from 9 to 5. It doesn't work that way anymore. It's like, it's a 24/7 thing, and people want to be a part of your lives. They want to know you and, engage with you and, all that good stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that, but that's just what it is now. So it can be complicated at times, but I'm working on it now. I'm trying to communicate when I'm not going to necessarily be communicating on social media anymore. So you may have noticed I'll put posts up saying that I'm taking a social media break. And I do that because for me, like when I was in corporate America, for example, and I was in management, I would get like hundreds of emails a day. I mean, like hundreds of them. And one of the things that was like real important for me was to comment or respond right away. That was just a thing for me, because I never wanted somebody to come to me and said, well, I sent you an email and you never sent a response back. That's just a thing of mine. But at the same time, it could put you on edge. So, I was one of the first people, like in my company, that put emails on my phone. So I had my emails on my phone. I'm walking around responding to emails. I'm just doing everything. So I'm constantly, give that immediate response. So then, you know, I'm kind of like that on social media too. So somebody sends something to me, I try to respond right away. But then at the same time, realistically, I'm like, then there's times I should be with my family, but I'm detached because I'm trying to respond right away.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's one thing I've done. And I've just really recently started implementing that. It's just kind of letting people know when I'm not going to be on social media, because as an entrepreneur, you know, we do say, reach out to me. So like, if you're not responding back, they're like, why shouldn't I respond back? Well, you know, now, because I've actually put in a post that I'm kind of off for right now. And me saying that I might be off doesn't mean that I'm not working, because, you know, we have so many aspects of our business. We have admin stuff that we got to get done, you know what I mean? But we can't get that done if we're constantly on social media, responding to this, responding to that, engaging, you know what I mean? So just like you were talking about with YouTube, it does take a while to actually do videos. I remember my very first YouTube video. Oh my gosh, I can't even tell you how many takes. It was crazy. It was so crazy how many takes I did. And I felt so silly, because normally when I do a live, I could just come on and, you know, just do a live. You know, I'm like, I'm right there, I'm ready. But I'm doing a video. It was like take after take. And I guess because, you know, we're into this perfectionism type thing. We want things to be perfect. And you know, the reality is it's just about getting it done, you know, and people will see the authenticity of it and appreciate it from there. But anyway, so I related to what you were saying about the YouTube and the video and the time it takes for that as well. But so anyway, to make a long story short, there's just times I realize I need to do other parts of my business where I'm not necessarily communicating with other people. And that's really just as important as obviously reaching out and communicating with people too. So it's you do have that part of it that you need to be really balanced on, because, you know, I think sometimes people, you know, and it depends on who you have in your company, but, you know, some people are just really into, I guess, the engagement part. And then if there's no admin being done, then the business is going to get weak. You've got to do it all, you know, like we'll use the reselling for an example. I mean, you got to get your listings in, because you don't put more listing in, and what's going to happen on that end, you know what I mean? You got to work that end of it. Or just any business that you're running, you got to make sure that you do all levels of the business, or at least you have some good people doing all of those levels of the business for you. If not, so, you know, so it can keep on running. Yeah. Hello, Regina.
Regina's here. Miss Tappy is here. And who else?
My comment.
Anubis Daniel says corporate America is prison. That is, I mean, I won't necessarily say it's prison, but I will say that I didn't enjoy
I agree.
it. Look, I agree. Look, but no, some people like their corporate jobs. So, I mean, if you feel like you're happy in your position, then do you, boo. But for me, it was, yes, like prison, because I just didn't like all the politics and all of that and what you got to do to try to stay in this sort of status. And if you don't hang out with a certain person, or you don't have a connection with this certain person, you don't get some of those perks. That's just the bottom line. They don't treat you right. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they don't care about you and your personal life for the most part. They don't care if you have to go home earlier. They want you to work late. They want you to, I mean, I just feel like you know, that's me coming from retail background, but, you know, also in corporate as well, I felt the same things, that people were just, if you didn't do certain things, you weren't in that in crowd, period.
Corporate America is definitely prison. It without a doubt is. If you've ever watched Shawshank Redemption, and there's a part when I think it's Morgan Freeman's talking to Tim Robbins or whatever, and they're talking about the establishment, the prison establishment, and how people end up, they're so used to the establishment that they cannot survive outside the establishment. About the mindset, and corporate America is like that for certain people. There's certain people that get in corporate America and they can't ever leave, because their mindset is that they need it, and if they do try to leave it, they can't survive. And it's really important. I know when I was in it, I was constantly telling people I'm leaving, and I had a lot of other friends that were in management. They're like, but I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to say, well, there's a lot of things you can do. Okay. I said, but I had already told myself, I'm already started some business. I was starting businesses while I was in it, you know,
Yeah.
And I wasn't making the money that I was making in corporate. I made some really good money in corporate America, and I wasn't making the same amount of money. But for me, and granted, this is not for everybody, so please don't everybody take this advice. But for me, I just made a decision that I was going to leave, regardless of the matching of the money, because it was really time for me to go because I was around people that I didn't need to be around. They were mentally draining me. I could not grow around them. If you're around a lot of people that are very closed-minded, they're not growing, they're talking about the same things, and you're not gaining anything from them, you really do have to move on. And sadly, I was around that, and I was in management, and I was dealing with people that I had to lead, but then the people that were in management and the people above me, it was just the levels were really different. And like you said, people will pass over you because you're a woman. I mean, and I've had that happen like several times. But then you come to me to get a job done because the person that you selected that was a man to do it, he really can't do it. So he's in the position making the money, but then you end up doing it because you're the one that can actually do it to begin with. Right. So, and I told my manager, he was very, very male chauvinistic type person. I said, I either move up or I'm leaving. I'm doing my own company. I said, it's really okay to me. And, sometimes I think when you tell people these things, they don't really believe you. But, then when the time came and he didn't want me to leave, I'm like, gone. Bye. It's just that way. But I agree with that statement that I think it was Anubis made, But granted, if you're doing something that you really love, and as I say, if you're doing something that you really love, then it's not a job, then that's okay. Because I know, I don't know if she's still up here, my friend Michelle from Flipping Gal, she's into marketing and she's been working for a company, I think she said 17 or 18 years, and she really loves it. And that's great. Right. And I definitely agree, stay within that because she's doing something she loves. And plus she's doing some creative work. When you're constantly doing things that is creative, it only helps you become more creative. Right. And it's creativity that actually makes the world go around anyway, at the end of the day.
I like that you just said that statement that whatever you do more of, you get more of it, if that makes sense. Like, right. If I multitask a whole lot, then I'm multitasking all day. And then when it comes time to focus, I'm having trouble. I'm just going to keep it 100. I was like, that's why I'm having trouble focusing. And I'm always like, oh, let me check this. Or, if the phone lights up, let me, And so it's because you're always multitasking all day long, or we're doing Clubhouse. And then while we're in Clubhouse, we're engaging or whatever. The reason why you have trouble focusing is because you are always multitasking. I'm not saying that it's a bad thing to be a multitasker. We want to be able to do that sometimes, but also take time to do that time blocking. So, you know what I mean? That way you can be sure that you'll also be focused in what you're doing when you need to have that deep focus when you're writing or you're listening or whatever it takes deep focus for you to have. Or you're reflecting or meditating, that sort of thing, you kind of got to not be on your phone. You can't be doing 2 or 3 things at the same time. But the Pink Diva Studio, Rhonda says, this is why I take off from social media on the weekend. It's a needed break for me. I do feel like everybody at some point should be taking breaks from social media because
I agree.
It's good, but at the same time, it can be actually addictive. So you have to kind of find a line in between, in the sand in between how much time you're going to spend on there. Do you have your timer set for to tell you on Instagram or on your phone how many hours you spent on the phone or on Instagram?
Oh, yeah. And I pay attention to that. But I want to touch base on what you were saying earlier about multitasking. You're totally on point. Multitasking can be great. And of course, like if you are in corporate America, they like to always hear that you're multitasking. But The reality of it is when you're multitasking, no job gets done well. That's the truth. It really is. I mean, you might say, oh, I'm doing this really well, but really it's not, because when you're multitasking like that, you're not really doing a job to what it could be done. And I know that to be a fact. So I like what you said about, I liked how you phrased it, where you need to map off that time where you're totally focused on whatever project you're working on, whatever it is, because I know you have multiple projects as well.
No doubt
Definitely.
about it. Miss Taffy says the people you're surrounded by is so important. That brings me to Ron's comment. She was like, sometimes you got to fire some folks. That's just the bottom line. Like sometimes they're in your life and they're just not, it's not working out. You just got to fire them. That's that on that. You know what I mean? Like you got to move on to greener pastures or to somebody that helps you, elevate yourself. Because I feel like if you are the sum of the people that you congregate with regularly. So if you are congregating with people that are not really doing anything with their life, then the thing about it is you have to, say to yourself, okay, how can I get around some more people that are like-minded so that I can continue to grow? Janine had clapped for it. She said, can she fire her husband? Sometimes I feel like I want to fire my significant other.
Hey, Chandra, how are you? It's so funny because it is the family sometime, but then you're like, well, gosh, technically they're right. Because I know one day I said, oh yeah, I'm gonna hang with you, because my husband likes to do certain things on the weekend. So yeah, I'm gonna hang with you. I said, I just got a couple of lives. He's like, here go these lives again.
They be so annoyed, mine. I know.
And then he sabotaged one of my lives. He up there cleaning the car. Me and Rhonda was doing, we were doing Spotlight Saturday, and we're talking, and he's cleaning the car. I said, oh my gosh. And it got like really loud. I said, we can't believe you right now.
Okay.
But yeah. Crazy stuff.
I know how you feel with that. Like, because I know my significant other gets tired of me being on the lives or whatever. So, with that being said, I decided to cut one out. I did some reevaluating due to a good friend of mine. I guess I won't mention that because that's probably personal. But, anyways, that's why I like having, the groups and the discussions and stuff, because it gets you to think about your own situation as well. And I say, you know what? I am probably overextending myself in certain areas, so that I had to make some changes and reevaluate where I'm spending my time and how that lines up with my goals. And then at the same time, though, you got to think about family life. Everything else, it just has to balance. It's like Regina said, you have to have some sort of balance. I mean, so if it's starting to get out of balance, then it's probably because you're putting too much on yourself than what you can do. So for me, 3 lives a week, back to back, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, that's a bit much. So I had to go ahead and just say, okay, I'm done doing that many lives back to back. I just can't, because people don't understand what goes into that. When you do a live, there's the promoting, there's the marketing, there's the post that you put on to not Facebook. There's a post that you put on Instagram. Then there's a post that you put on your YouTube, and so you have to make all. And then the text that goes within that. Now, granted, I'm working on making that less because I know that I'm extra. So I try to give people a little bit about the person and all of that. And maybe I should do a little less on that. I say, man, how can I cut down on this process so that it isn't so much? And then you're coming on live, so you have to be prepared for that. You just can't come on here in your house coat and footies. I mean, I guess you could, but you know what I mean? Like me, I'm not going to. That's just not who I am, So, I mean, but people have to realize it takes work to do that. So whenever you're thinking about your situation and what you want to do or something that you want to achieve, think about first, how much out of you is that project going to take? Like if you decide you want to start a YouTube channel, understand that YouTube and Instagram are 2 different beasts. So, you know what I'm saying? Like you might be able to build a lot faster on Clubhouse or Instagram than you ever will on YouTube. It is a different type of platform. So I feel like before you get ready to start anything, not just YouTube, do your due diligence. Like talk to some people that are already doing it, or you know what I mean? Like actually research what it takes to get involved in that. Cause I'm like, for me, YouTube has been a little bit of a struggle, but I'm up for the challenge. Like before I started my YouTube, I knew that. I already knew going in that it was going to be some work. You know what I'm saying? So what about you? Like where are you going with your YouTube channel and what struggles have you had? Because I know for me, mainly it's just been the editing. I can do videos. I have a lot of information to give, but you know what I mean? But it's just been mainly the editing and then trying to figure out what the people really want to see.
Right. Well, I will say this. I started YouTube because I just want to help people to be able to evolve, because I really truly believe in that. That's why I picked the name, and that was the reason why I actually started it. And then the way I do my YouTube, I wanted it to connect with my podcast, which is pretty much what I do.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to get into short videos, just short little how-tos on this and how-tos on that. But the reality is I don't have time to edit. I really don't. You know, it does take a while. You have to know what you're doing. And I just don't. So like, I know sometimes people are like hiring assistants to do things that they already know how to do. So for me, I'm looking at hiring people to help me with stuff that I don't know how to do, because I'm not even a great editor for that matter. So
Okay.
yeah, so I'm like,
Me
that's
either. I'm
what
not
I'm
the best.
looking at. Yeah, so that's what I'm looking at, because I hear people all the time, they're hiring somebody to share, or they're hiring somebody to list. Realistically speaking, I may not like listing, but I do know how to do it. I know how to do it really well. I do know how to share. Well, I don't mind sharing. I know how to do those things well. I was like, I need to hire people for things that I'm not that adept at. And editing, YouTube is one of them. So that's one of the things that I'm looking at. Because obviously, if you don't know how to do something well, then it's going to take you longer anyway, as opposed to someone that's very adept at something. If somebody really knows how to do something really well, they could take like a 10-minute video and edit it, in no time, because they know how to do it. You know what I'm
Exactly. Like
saying? Yeah.
when I'm
So
watching videos, that's what I see. Like I
yeah,
see these people watching the videos, this is how to do this. And then they be like clicking around in these buttons fast. And I be like,
yeah,
so fast. But they've been doing
yes.
it's what they
They've
do.
been doing it for a while. And I'm considering this my production company, because obviously I'm going to be doing other things. So the reality is I'm going to have to end up hiring an editor anyway at that point, once I'm really feel like, okay, here, this is what it's going to do. There's going to be an editor. They're going to know what they're doing
Right.
and get it rolling. I'm going to hire different people for stuff that I'm not proficient in. And that's definitely one of them. And a company to be truly, for a company to do really well, that's what happens anyway. Any company that's doing well, they don't know every aspect of the company. Because if they did, that company's not going to really grow. You know what I mean? If there was one person, like we'll take Apple, for example, if there was only one person that knew how to do everything in Apple would not be the $1 trillion company that it was, because it would be impossible to expand like they did. You got different people with different, experiences, different knowledges, and different techs and different things. They hire people, to do these different things. And that's how you're going to truly grow as a company. Spend time hiring people to do things you don't know how to do. So that's what I'm working on. I haven't done it yet, but I'm working on that, because that's what I need. I need to hire people to help me with stuff I have no idea what I'm doing in. So that's one of the things I'm looking at.
Yeah. I totally agree with that, but I also agree with, if the work is too much, like, if you're trying to expand into other areas, and like for me, relisting and listing is just it. I can't have my time bottlenecked in that area, because I could literally spend all day listing. My sales would be through the roof, because sis know how to list. I know how to photograph. I know how to do the descriptions. I'm pretty good at it. I've been there where I did that. And when I did that, I saw the growth in the sales. The sales will be there. I already have that. Whether I'm selling something for $10 or $50, I have that process already down. All I need is somebody to do that, so that I can expand the business and go into other areas of doing other things that I really like to do. So for me, it's not even about the fact that I don't know how to do it. I just want the time back so I can do other things that I also enjoy, and start in getting into other ventures and still grow the business. You know what I mean? Without me working on it all the time, constantly. I'm not trying to do that. That was when, before Instagram and everything. Like, I didn't even have people that I, like you, that's great, that I met, that I can, link up with and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was barely having a life. I was basically just listing basically was my life. I made the sales. I was getting like 10 to 15 sales a day. Like, it was rocking. But that's the problem, though. Like, that's a problem for me, because it wasn't balanced. So that's why we were talking about that, with the balance. Then I didn't have the balance. You have the sales, you have the money, but you don't have the balance.
But then it depends on what your vision is too. So I totally agree with what you're saying. So like, for example, let's say if you knew that your list, and of course, we using List Perfectly. You're using List Perfectly too, I know, definitely.
Right.
And List Perfectly is a great tool. And then of course, there's other tools as well. But let's just say, if you list so much, you're going to get all these sales and you're going to get all of this money. Ultimately, if you decided to really dedicate your time to that and really beef up that money, what you'll find is you'll be able to take that money and invest it into other projects that you want to do, to the point that, I guess, to make a long story short, to the point you're going to have so much money coming in that you will be able to slack off of actually doing that job that you know how to do. Does that make sense? Because you're making the money now, you were able to put that money into another stream that you're trying to work on or whatever. But there's, it's all about how you want to do things. And I totally agree with you. I think sometimes there's so many things we want to do that we have visions of, but what happens is it may take longer for us to do because we're spreading ourselves too thin.
True.
And we don't necessarily have to do that. Now, granted, I can't say to us that we have all the time in the world, because we know that the reality is that's not true.
Right.
But the bottom line is, don't spread yourself so thin too. So if there's something that you can do really well, that's going to bring you a lot of revenue initially, do it really well, and then reinvest that revenue into something else that you're trying to get into.
Right.
And that's going to help you to grow, and that's what I think a lot of people end up doing initially, until next thing you know, they start growing. And then, like you said, they're hiring people for everything at that point, because money's coming here and everywhere, but it has to start somewhere. Right. Definitely.
That's true. I think to level up or to scale your business, any business, you're going to have help. You can't do everything for everyone.
That's so true.
Every company out there has help. You cannot do it all by yourself. So at some point, you're going to have to do that anyway. So
you will have to
take the thing that you don't enjoy the most, or that you're not that good at, like you were talking about not being good at, whatever those two things, not being good or that you just can't stand doing, take that and push that off first and just keep doing it there. I think that's like a good starting point.
So that's a perfect advice that you just gave, guys. It's either stuff that you really hate doing, because true, if there's something you really hate doing it, even if you know how to do it, you're not going to do it well because you hate doing it. And then stuff that you don't know to do, definitely push that off to someone else. And the stuff that you do really well, do it really hard and really, really focus on that. Really focus on that. And then that's going to bring in a stream that you can invest into other projects. Even if it's in someone else's project, you're helping them grow, but you're a part of that project. So you're going to grow that revenue stream as well, because obviously you want as many revenue streams as possible. We know that for sure.
Absolutely. I was just looking through some of the comments, and Glow Girl Glow, Nikki, or I'm sorry, Chandra. I struggle sometimes with it, but she says that she struggles with YouTube. She does not like getting all dressed up. Sometimes I don't want to get dressed up. Y'all notice tonight I'm like a little, not as much as I normally do. I try to go in between. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. If you catch me in my stories on Instagram, sometimes I'm not on at all. But now that I'm only going to be live a couple times a week, it's going to be a little bit easier. And then some of the videos that I do for YouTube, I'm not going to have on any makeup at all. Don't care, because I got to get this content out. That's the most important thing. And what I like the most, bringing me to Regina, and then also Lisa Jules. These are two people that do content. Glow Girl Glow, Chandra does it too. But just go on there, just nothing. Don't put on nothing. Or, I know Leslie of Resellers Passion. We all, pretty much know her. Everybody here in the chat mainly knows her. Go on there without it. If you have a message to tell, people are looking really more so for the content, and they want you to be real. Because I know when I was watching Regina's video the other day, she was cooking up some, cooking some food and whatnot. And I was like, that's what I'm talking about, because we kind of want to know who the person is. So I even incorporated some of that in my story today. I was inspired by that because I thought, hey, people know me as this person, as the entrepreneur, as the reseller, as whatever, but they don't know me as a mom. They don't know what I like to eat. They don't know I love flowers. On any day of the week, you can send me some flowers. I'm happy. You know what I mean? Like things like that. They don't know really the real me. So it was just nice to actually get to know Regina on another level. You know what I mean? Like that I was just like, wow, that's cool. So I think that more of us should do that. I mean, and I know on her channel, she says that, she's going to do what comes to her. You know what I mean? And that's what she wants. She's not necessarily doing it because she wants to make money or be monetized. I know that's one of my goals, but at the same time, I mean, at some point, I think everybody wants to be monetized. Don't get the game twisted. But she's doing it from her heart. And I think we all can learn from that. Like do it and just be the person that you are. Just be real, come from your heart. And so that's what I like the most about her videos. So I do, she's in the chat. If you are not following Regina Michelle, definitely follow her. Glow Girl Glow. Jules. I mean, I'm telling you, it's a lot of talent here. Also, of course, your channel. You have your live that you do is on Sundays at 7 p.m. Am I right? 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. I'm like, is it?
No, it's 7 p.m.
It's Eastern. I'm bugging.
Yeah, it's Eastern. But yeah, you're right. I think that you do need to love what you're doing. So like what I'm doing right now with YouTube, I actually love. I get people to come on and talk with me, and I absolutely love it. The people that are coming on, they're very, most of them are serial entrepreneurs. You came on, so I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
So I really do enjoy that aspect of it. And then, like I said, for mine, I do stream mine to the podcast. I really like the podcast. I don't know the direction of what direction podcast is going to take with Clubhouse. You wonder about that. But at the same time, the neat thing about podcasts that Clubhouse obviously is not doing is you get to hear the information and you can re-listen to it. Does that make sense? You can listen to it again and again. You can go back to that. So, oh, what did that person say? Let me go back to this. Obviously, in Clubhouse, it's kind of a one and done. If you didn't hear it that first time around, oh, well,
right.
It's kind of like that with Clubhouse. So that's kind of the direction that I'm going with it. I like that. And I just want to provide that outlet for people to be able to grow with me. And I tell people, and you'll see my YouTube change and evolve. As I learn stuff, you'll see it change and evolve, but I'm not spending a lot of time on it because I've got to spend time on things that bring in money.
Okay.
Because the things that are bringing in money, I could take that money and invest it in other projects. That's what I do a lot. So things that I'm spending time obviously on YouTube, but as we're saying, just once a week mainly. And then of course it goes to podcast, but I'm working on a lot of other projects that are bringing me money that I can actually utilize and invest, whether it's in the stock market, invest into another avenue of my business, which, I do a combination of both, obviously. So that's kind of the direction that I'm going right now. And, one day down the line, I think 10 years from now, they'd be like, can you believe her YouTube in the very beginning? Seriously, can you believe that?
When I can tell you right now, I have videos on YouTube right now. Okay, I'm putting this out there that I'm not really, it's not that I didn't do a good job. It's just the way that I think it was put out there might have, I just didn't like it. And then I think that it was too long. I guess I'm too critical of myself. But I'm like, girl, why you put that long video out there? Because I didn't know any better. Because I hadn't done the research. So, the truth of the matter is I just didn't know what the heck I was doing. I'm just going to keep it 100, But I think everybody, you got to start somewhere. I said, I'm going to start this YouTube channel and I'm going to do it. And if it's not the best, that's okay. We'll tweak it along the way. That's that on that. You know what I mean? Like, because I wanted to do it. I wanted to get it out there. So I said, if I keep on trying to tweak, I'm just going to be tweaking and typing up stuff and looking at videos and never doing any video. I'm looking at everybody else's YouTube videos, but I'm never doing anything myself. So I really just wanted to get started. But with you talking about Clubhouse and everything, I really love what you're doing in Clubhouse, especially with the engagement group. I love that engagement group. But I just had a quick question in between Clubhouse and in between Instagram. If you had to pick one of those platforms, now you can't be on the other. I know that both of them they're connected, but if you couldn't, which one would you pick? Because I know you like both. Would you stay on Instagram? Or would you just, because Clubhouse is going to that monetization now. You know what I mean? So would you stay on Clubhouse? If you had to pick one.
It's kind of funny. It's funny, my thought process on this. I'm going to make you laugh when I say this. Instagram, to me, granted, it definitely has a business aspect, but a lot of relationships have been built on Instagram. I have really gained a lot of friendships and kinships from people on Instagram. So I'm really thankful for Instagram. And ironically, I'm starting to develop some relationships with people from Clubhouse as well. So it's interesting when you think about it, but I am very intentional with Clubhouse. So I would probably have to say, if I could only have one, it would be Instagram. And the only reason I say that is because I'm very intentional with Clubhouse. I know some people are literally on it all day long. And it's like, and I used to always keep my notifications up. I've kind of, decided to not do that anymore. But I noticed that when I did have my notifications up, you'll see some of the same people. They're constantly in something. I'm like, they're on Clubhouse all day. And, I'm trying to and the only problem I have with that is where can you actually think? Because if you're constantly listening to other people talk all day long, and I'm talking about for people that are up there all day long, and if there's somebody in the audience, please, I'm not trying to pass judgment. Right. So I'll talk in terms of me. I cannot listen to someone talk all day long because I've got things going on in my brain. I'm trying to create, I'm trying to think, and I can't be hearing chatter all day long for me. Right. So I'm very intentional with Clubhouse. I'm joining a couple of rooms. I'm a part of a couple of rooms. I love the relationships of the rooms that I'm in. I did set up a club, and in the club that I set up, it's going to be about enriching people's lives. Helping them learn. Like we have one tomorrow where it's going to be YouTube 101. A friend of mine named Samantha, Thrifty on a Dime, she was nice enough to do this for me, where she's going to be talking to people that, are considering doing YouTube and giving them some tips. So that's tomorrow. I've done the Amazon and done different things, but I'll keep trying to find, things to actually talk about, to actually help people to evolve. And that's in my, personal club. And thankfully, I don't know if Denine's still up here, but I'm in her Poshmark club. And so, I do one room right now with her club called Share and Sip, and that's on Thursdays. And, we share people's closets. And I've actually been buying from people's closets too. It's been kind of fun. So I've been doing that as well. But I'm going to also be doing another one in that room in the near future. So stay tuned on that. I will be doing that. But yeah, so to make a long story short, I'm very intentional with Clubhouse. And I was kind of like that from the beginning. I saw the business aspect of it. And the fact also that you could learn some valuable information depending on the rooms you go into. Does that make sense? And all that. So yeah, but if for some reason like, well, one of them is going to go, guys, and yeah, I'll just let Clubhouse go if that were the case. Yeah.
Okay.
Make a long story short.
Yes. Off the top of my head, I can tell you that much right now. But if it came down to, if we talk about would I let go of YouTube or Instagram, that's really hard, because when I tell you how helpful YouTube, that's where my whole career started. Entrepreneurship for me started on YouTube. So you're trying to tell me, now that I can't go back to this platform, at no point I have to now lean on nothing but Instagram. I don't know about that.
Well, when you're talking, if you're talking YouTube and Instagram, you wouldn't even want to compare that anyway, because the reality is YouTube is really like a university. It really is. So there's a difference there. And you know, maybe some people might say that about Clubhouse, but I totally don't think Clubhouse is there at all yet. In answer to your question, Chandra, it's going to be 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on that. And I'll try to put the link in our group. But yeah, so yeah, YouTube is totally different. And thankfully, hopefully nothing will happen with YouTube because, you know my husband's definitely big on that. It's like he tried to figure something out. Oh, let me go on YouTube. Now I'm the opposite. Like you shared something yesterday that I liked that you shared because I agree with his mindset. He's like, sometimes people spend so much time trying to see how to do something that they never actually do it. Right. Because we're looking at 10,000 and see, now thankfully my husband's not like that. He'll go up there and he'll spend some time trying to find the correct video. But see, I'm a person, if I got to do something like, okay, I got to do it right now. I said, so he'll be like, have you gone on YouTube? I'm like, no, I'm going to figure out how to do it right. I'm serious. I'm like that. I'm like, sit there and I'll mess around and try to figure it out because I just can't take the time to try to get the right video. Because one thing I have caught from YouTube is, people are tricky with their titles, which, that's how they get paid. People that go on it. You'll go on a title and it's supposed to be about something and they never talk about it. So that's a person that I immediately unsubscribe to. If I'm subscribed to them, I cancel them out because I don't like trickery like that. I'm like, make sure what you say in the title is what it is because, my time's valuable to me. So yeah, but that's me. But
look, I totally understand. I had like my ice maker was cutting up on me on the printer. So I was like, okay, it's not making ice. What's wrong? Boom. To fix it in 2 minutes. But that's why I say, now listen, it has saved me quite a few times going on YouTube to figure out something. And the same thing with the software. If I hadn't watched a couple videos to do the editing on the Filmora or whatever I picked from Filmora for my software program, but if I hadn't watched that, I wouldn't know what the hell I was doing on it. And then using it, another thing, experience, then you learn how to use it as you use it. If you don't do it, you're definitely not going to learn it. That's why I want to do 2 more videos a week on YouTube. I think everybody should come tomorrow to that discussion. I'm going to be there for sure. But because I think that, if you're trying to grow or get better at something, then it just takes more practice. So you're going to have to show up for practice. All these athletes that are extra great and pro, they didn't become pro sitting at home on the couch eating bonbons and watching somebody else do it. They had to go do it themselves and they had to practice. So it's like the same thing that I will have to do. I will have to get out there, show up, you know what I mean, and do your thing. That's that on that. But
one of the things she's going to talk about it, I definitely want to know more about, and we've been talking about this more anyway. It's just about the keyword usage because that is so important. So, and I know that's something that I'm lacking in. So I definitely want to get into that. But yeah, you're right. You're definitely like my husband because he's good at getting stuff and then doing it from there. But I think that's why we're like the perfect couple because I'm like, we're the yin and the yang. I'm like, oh, I don't have time for that. Let me go ahead and do it. So he's up there looking on it. Well, here's the step. Yeah. But yeah, and don't get me wrong, I do go on YouTube from time to time. Trust me, I do. But it's just sometimes I'm very much, I want to do it now. Right. And then truthfully, if I figure it out myself, you're right, then you're gonna always know it. So sometimes I just like figuring stuff out myself too. I think that's part of my problem.
Yep.
And that's something I would almost say that's probably a weakness. I need to stop trying to figure stuff out myself sometimes. Hey Derek, how you doing?
I think it's good to be curious like that. I wanted to go back to this comment because I was looking at it and I said, what is Michelle and Marina talking about? Some newer companies are pretty cool about not taking advantage of their workers like that. And and one even gave a friend of mine Juneteenth off. Well, that's awesome.
Nice.
Like, that's awesome. Okay. Yeah. That is what's up.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. What is this? Chandra says she would definitely stay on Instagram. I would definitely stay with YouTube over Instagram. I'm just going to keep it 100. You know what I mean? Even though they're 2 different platforms, but if I had to pick, I'd have to do that because it's just been so doggone helpful. You know what I mean? Like you could like all these courses that everybody have that you buy this course and then you don't even look at it a day or 2 and then boom, you're done and you ain't even applied the course. if you're watching the YouTube videos, that's your university right there. And I'm not saying that a course is not worth you taking. If you want it organized, it's well worth it. Don't get me wrong. But I'm saying basically everything that you want to know is out there in some form, I feel. You know what I mean? And if it's not, you can ask. You know, there's people out there that maybe put a piece of it out there, but didn't put the rest. It gives you a connection to that person. It's not like you can't contact them or put a comment on their video and say, hey, can you make a video on this? And they might just do it. You know what I mean? So that's that on that. I mean, I feel like
I'm going to tell you right now, there is some phenomenal YouTube content out there. The content that I like is the content that I guess is not the how-to for me to do something right then. That's where my impatience comes in at. But there's content that I love. There's a couple of people, I was trying to get his name because I recommend everybody checking this guy out. So I'm going to keep talking and see if I can find him really quick. I'm shocked he hasn't popped up on my screen. Oh, okay. Yeah, he has like a really weird name, but I'm going to copy his link and put it in. But anyway, he deals with stocks. So what he does is he has something where he talks about the moves that stocks are going to do. And he's been pretty on point. So I always check him out. There's certain people that I check out all the time, but that's kind of what I look at a lot. So I'm looking at that, the financials. But you're right. Ultimately, they talk about YouTube, and they said that YouTube is really a university overall. So it all depends on, how you're utilizing it. I'm going to send a link out to everybody as I'm talking to y'all right now on this guy, because he has a very unusual name. I have no idea how to pronounce it. I'm just going to keep it real with y'all. The last name, that is. His first name is Paul, but I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
I wanted to say hey to Derek. I was like looking through all the comments.
Yeah, but if you want to learn about stocks and stuff, I just sent it. And yeah, he's really cool because, he's all into the charting, which is kind of important if you're trying to learn more about that. So anyway, I just thought I would share that. But yeah, I totally get that, Brittany. And for you, I totally could see why you would definitely pick YouTube over Instagram. I could see that. And if you think about it, ultimately, really between the two, I think you're right. YouTube should be chosen because there is some really great content up there that can help you overall. I mean, there's teachers up there teaching kids on YouTube. You can get into that. There's a lot of that going on. So yeah, YouTube is really great. If you talk about those two.
I think you miss out on the community aspect, though. That's the thing. Like, I think the Instagram community part of it and engaging with people, I really love that about Instagram. So I would definitely miss that and would have to find that somewhere. And I don't think you'll have as much of it on YouTube, but you can because there's lives. They're making it more interactive. People do vlogs, which I think helps you get to know people better and stuff like that. So there's an opportunity for it. I just don't think it's as strong, as it would be. Like Instagram is a little bit more put together when it comes to that. But, I think you could get it. I just don't think it would be as strong.
But, you bring up a good point because I've noticed YouTube is changing. Have you noticed the way, people can put their little post up there, making a little comments, and you can interact? I think YouTube knows that because I've caught that because the people that, I'm subscribed to, friends that I have, they can put little things up there, little posts now. And yeah, definitely sarcastic. I like your name, Sarcastic Storage Stacker. That's pretty cool. But anyway, love it. But yeah, so YouTube is migrating towards that. So literally you could have a community on YouTube. I'm seeing it because that's why they're doing the shorts now and all that cool stuff. So it's changing a lot. So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff to YouTube. YouTube is definitely not going anywhere. It's an awesome company for sure. But of course with Google, but yeah, definitely.
So I wanted to ask this interesting question because it's interesting. And I said, I'm going to pick this one. If you had, because I know you sell too, and I know what you ultimately want to do, but I just wanted to ask because everybody that resells wish they usually, one of the major things that everybody says is they wish they had more space. So if you had a big old warehouse that you could put everything in, you had the space was given to you and it's paid for. You don't even have to pay for the space. What will you do with your space Like, is you just gonna buy pallets, or like, what would you do with this big space that you've been given to, to help you in your business?
Well, to be honest with you, Brittany, the only space that I actually want in the future is I want to buy apartment buildings. That's something that that's a goal of mine.
Real estate.
Yeah. So I want to buy apartment complexes and things of that nature. So for me, I could care less about the storage, because what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to get my business where it's drop ship, FBA, and for people that are not in Amazon, I don't know what FBA is. That's another story. You can reach out to us. We can tell you about that later. But I want to get to the point that I have none of that inventory. That's what I want. Now, that's not my life right now. I'm living in a warehouse, just keeping it real, guys. Living in a warehouse, not proud of it. But anyway, but that's my truth right now. Yeah, now that's true. I totally, and that I could be into buying a storage facility and rent. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I might reach out to you. I can deal with that. That's definitely true.
Yeah.
There will be streams coming in as well. I totally agree. But anyway, yeah. So that's kind of me in a nutshell in regards to that. That's like I don't know when I'm gonna get to that level, obviously, Brittany, but that's what I'm thinking about. So, but no, I'm not. I don't want a big storage space to put stuff in, because I want to get rid of my stuff. I want it elsewhere. I want somebody else's house in that stuff, boy. Somebody else dealing with that. But yeah, I like that sarcastic storage stack. I hadn't thought about that aspect, but you're right. That's a good route to look at. I had to pursue that.
Right. But you know what? We're almost done. We are going to wrap up because we want to respect the entrepreneur's time. But it just brought me to a point, because I thought about, what would I do if I had all that space? And me personally, I do want to have the warehouse. I do want to do that, because the thing about it is I like to have control over the items myself. Personally, I like to know what I'm putting out and that sort of thing. I want it to be quality control. So I would do something with that space. Now, I do love FBA. Like, I love the idea of not dealing with it at all. But if I can have a whole nother business, you're telling me you're giving me this for free? No, this is free 99. Then I'm gonna have to go ahead and go for it. Okay, we gonna get these pallets in here. It's gonna be.
You have such good taste on your clothes that you pick too. Yeah. And if y'all haven't been to Brittany's, well, she's on quite a few platforms, by the way, but yeah, her Poshmark's attached. Yeah, check it out. You really do have great taste. I can see you like checking out these clothes, but what I really see is you having your own items that you've designed. That's what I envision. So maybe that's the route you're going to go, all bossed up and whatnot. But yeah, I get it.
It's coming. Yeah. I'm just saying one thing.
Yeah, I get it. Definitely. Yeah, you're right. Flipping gals, for the vintage items, you would need a storage area for that. I totally agree. Yeah. But I know y'all are definitely all about that drop shipping. Y'all are amazing. Y'all need to be following the flipping gals if y'all aren't already. Those are some amazing women, I'm telling you, for sure.
Oh, we are getting ready to wrap up, but I keep talking about, like, I think this keeps coming up, that nothing is more constant than change. So with that said, if you could change, though, anything in the world, just anything that you could change and have it not be something that's going to change again, what would that be and why? Like, why keep that the same? I want this to be this way and the same, and it never changed. One thing. I know that's interesting. You might have to think.
There's probably so many great answers, but I'll go ahead and throw this one out. I would love it that the trees stay the same. Meaning that, truthfully, I would want us to grow some more trees, and that the trees just stay the same. We would stop cutting down the trees, because that's how our environment's going to actually get better. That's how the planet's going to get better. We've got to keep the trees and grow more trees. So those are the changes that I want to make. So we'll grow trees and then keep the trees we have, grow more trees, and no trees be cut. We have to find other forms to make buildings and things of that nature to kind of keep, to keep the planet going. But like I said, there's so many other things that could be great answers for that. That's just the one I'm throwing out there. You know what I mean?
I have become, like, with the research that I've been doing, like I was telling you, probably on another live or probably on my Hello Sunday show, that I've becoming more of an environmentalist. So I do
Right.
see that some of the stuff, the direction of that, you know, if I do come out with a line of clothing, a lot of that's going to have to do with stuff related to that, because I don't think enough people understand how serious that is. We're just
It
running
is.
autopilot, I guess, on what we eat and the type of cookware that we have, all this kind of stuff that actually makes a difference in our health and just the environment in general. We don't realize the effect that we have on it by our very everyday actions that we grew up. This is just how we grew up. So it's just us. We ain't really thinking about the fact that the dairy consumption and the, you know, just all this stuff that's happening, you know what I mean, is really affecting us on a global level. And at some point, we are going to have to make some changes, or the world's, you know, like, I hate to say it, but it's coming to an end. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, that's the truth. Because if we don't have
and I know this is, I know we're trying to wrap it up, but I'm gonna just say this really quick, and it's coming to an end a lot faster than they expected. So, you know, the scientists gave a time period, but that time period is not a time period. They're surprised at how fast it's happening. So yeah, but I love what you're saying, and I know you'll do that. I know definitely when you come out with a clothing line, you'll make sure that it's sustainable. So yeah, I love that concept for sure. Love it. And I appreciate everybody that came out. These are some phenomenal people. We got the Pink Diva Steel, the Flipping Gals, Jules, Sarcastic Storage Stacker. I love that name. We just, and I'm losing the chat, but I guess I gotta look at my other thing. It's like quite a few people out here though. Fundamentals. Derek's out here. Just so many great people out here. We really appreciate y'all coming out. That's for sure.
Thank you so much for joining. And we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Is there anything that you would like to leave us with? Maybe something for somebody that maybe they're still in their job, or, you know, they want to do more with their entrepreneurship. Just one tip that you maybe want to give for those people, you know what I mean, that's getting ready to get started.
The only thing I'm going to say on this, because I know time is money, if you don't like what you're doing, leave. Seriously, because time is too short. I'm going to just say it like that.
Okay.
Awesome. Yeah, have a fun night.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining. I'm back here at the same time every Monday night for Motivational Mondays. I thank Terry for coming on the show. She is phenomenal. If you are not already following her, you can click on the link once I drop this. Once the video drops, it'll be there, or you can catch her on Instagram at EvolvingAlways.
Right.
Thank you for tuning in, and good night. I will see you guys next week. Also, don't forget this Sunday, I forgot to say, this Sunday I will have my chat. We'll be back, Hello Sunday, with Jules, who's here tonight. Lisa, she's phenomenal. If you're not following her, I mean, I think everybody in the chat, almost everybody in the chat has a channel. You should be following them, because everybody has their own individual, you know, thing that is really, you know, awesome that they're doing in the community. So I want to just say that. So if there's anybody in there, just check them out. They all have channels. They're great. But also on Sunday, it'll be me. Terry's on there with me. And then I usually have like a couple of special guests. So tune in for that. And we will see you there on Sundays. It is at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard or Central Standard Time, and 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sundays. I'm sorry. Did I say that right? Central Standard Time. Okay. Good night, y'all. I'm getting tired. Bye.
You're awesome.